In the first episode of the 7th season of the TV show called Black Mirror that came out recently in April 2025, the plot follows the next line. I'll try not to spoil a lot, I'll try to be as abstract as possible for you, maybe if you didn't watch the first episode. So there was a couple, both of them loved each other very much, and due to certain circumstances and health conditions, the girl in that couple gets a stroke and gets into coma. And due to the stuff happening in the near future or whatever the Black Mirror suggests, they implant a chip into her brain that allows her to basically continue living. But there is a catch. You gotta pay monthly to continue on living. And the story develops, and again, I don't really want to spoil much, but that leading to certain events, unwanted events happening and continue happening in their lives. And apparently we are right here pretty close to this situation happening in near future. The thing is that currently Apple preparing way to control iPhones with your mind, but there is a catch. Like everywhere else, there is gotta be a catch. At least for the first wave of the innovation. Remember I told you about Black Mirror? Here it is. Apple will soon let users control their iPhone with their brain, but they'll have to get an implant to make it work. When I first saw this news, that instantly made me think about Black Mirror's episode. I started to implement the plot of Black Mirror into this situation, and imagine you'll have to pay the monthly subscription for this implant to work, or to connect to your iPhone, or to connect to some other network out there that will keep it, going. And to be honest, I stopped reading this right there in order for me to continue reading and discovering this topic with you together. Over the years, Apple has worked to make its devices increasingly accessible to people with all types of disabilities and impairments. This feature with implant is set to release its biggest accessibility feature, and it could be as soon as the end of 2025. It feels like we're coming to the age and era where all the innovations are gonna be groundbreaking and absolutely insane to comprehend. Like, to understand this feature, in implementing and thinking about implanting chips into humans' brains was wild dream a while back. But right now, as we get closer to it, and it seems more and more real, especially with Elon Musk doing this stuff and all that jazz, it gets a little bit scary, especially if you watch the Black Mirror or whatever, and if you're into this futuristic stuff and you discover about this stuff from some other angles, it's a little bit scary. I'm not gonna lie, because there is definitely gotta be people who are willing to try it firsthand without really much research, and as always, the first innovation and the first device will lead to some unexpected consequences, and some people will learn along the way. There will be people who are willing to try this on them and they will experience something unexperienced from someone before. Apple is preparing to launch a way to control your iPhone, iPad, and Apple Vision Pro with your mind, but you will have to let them place an implant into your brain. This is what I'm talking about. I didn't know about Apple Vision Pro, but this makes total sense. This device would get so powerful. Imagine when they add a lot of new features and improve their features in Apple Vision Pro, and now you have a chip to operate all that. You don't have to be waving your hands like that when you're walking down the street. Absolutely incredible. That is insane. The company they've partnered with makes a stand-like device that is implanted in a vein at the top of the brain's motor cortex. So it's really gotta be implanted into the head. Well, it was expected. If it reaches full release, the implant could make Apple devices more accessible to tens of thousands of people with severe spinal cord injuries or ILS. So apparently they will try to concentrate mostly on people with disabilities to try this implant on. That's probably because this way they will narrow down their, research and implementation of this new innovation. What I mean by that is that they will probably concentrate mostly on solving the problems that is already existing, not giving additional features to, people who don't have disabilities. Synchron said in a press release that control trials of the device will start later in 2025, but one user already has the company's implant installed. Whoa, okay, there is already someone with this implant. Mark Jackson, who has ALC, is the early tester and has been able to use Apple's Vision Pro headset to experience things he has never been able to do before, like stand over the ledge of a mountain in the Swiss Alps. It's still early in development, however. Jackson says he can't use the tech to mimic moving a mouse cursor or a touching screen with his fingers, so navigation of the devices is much slower than if you were to use them normally. So as I already thought, they will be solely concentrating on solving certain problems, not on giving even more advantages to someone with this. Elon Musk's company Neuralink has begun testing its brain implant as well, and the first patient revealed to Joe Rogan that it's like an aimbot, where he's playing video games. Well, the fact the future is going crazy is absolutely a fact. Lately, we've been seeing more and more news about chips implementation, implants into brain, and even movies don't seem so futuristic anymore because it's coming to be a reality, it feels like pretty much soon. The thing that I'm mostly concentrated on when I'm hearing about all these implants and chips is that what type of advancement it would give to a human without any disabilities, that everybody will start to want this thing. It will probably come to the point where software engineers, when they're applying for the job, they will be instantly asked, do you have an implant from Apple or stuff like that, which will mean for the company that this person with this chip will probably solve tasks much faster and without much mistakes in their work. I don't think the people who will be using such things and implementing chips to their brains will be those who will just want aimbots in video games or stuff like that. But still, who knows? If it will not be regulated sooner than it will be implemented, then there will be definitely some cyber championships where people will be using this aimbot implanted into their heads on the championships, and it will make news and make the whole thing even bigger. But right now I see this as, even if you are completely sure that you are going to be safe, and there are already a lot of researches done about this innovation and it is completely safe to implement to any human being, I will still have a questions, because like to build that trust into technology to be part of you is, it's some different level of trust. And yeah, it will be very interesting to see how this thing develops. But yeah, let me know your thoughts about this thing in the comments. And that's really all I wanted to discuss and talk about today. So see ya.